also helps in the documentation of water levels in an aquifer. Water level data can indicate groundwater movement, areas where recharge occurs, and zones in which groundwater discharges to the surface. Pumping tests provide information regarding the storage and transmission properties of aquifers. These tests also indicate the capacity of any well to yield water. For instance, it may be interesting to understand how much water a well can yield when the water level in the well drops by a meter. During a pumping test, a well is pumped and water levels are measured in the pumping well as well as in specially made adjacent boreholes. The drop in water level in the aquifer observed in these wells during pumping is called drawdown. The water level in a well fluctuates during drawdown and recovery as a response to the pumping in the well. The water level in a well also fluctuates over different seasons. For instance, in large parts of India, water levels rise during the rainy season due to groundwater recharge. The water levels drop during the dry season as water is pumped out and some of it moves out of the aquifer to streams. Some water may also percolate deeper into the ground. Flows out of the aquifer are called groundwater discharge. The water levels in an aquifer also fluctuate over the longer term, say over a period of years. This fluctuation may be due to abnormal rainfall, recurring droughts, or because of some exceptional trends in pumping. If pumping exceeds recharge over the long term, water levels continuously decline and the aquifer may reach levels of overexploitation, causing acute scarcities. If recharge is good enough to match pumping and other components of the groundwater discharge, the aquifer remains significantly saturated, with streams and rivers bearing base flows throughout the year. Understanding aquifers involves understanding weather and climate. Different parameters of the weather, such as rainfall, temperature, relative humidity, and wind speed, may influence groundwater recharge.
This weather station we have installed here to measure the 6 parameters. Basically, we are measuring here our temperature, humidity, wind speed, wind direction, solar radiation, evaporation, and rainfall. In this weather station, we have installed one automatic rain gauge as well as a manual rain gauge so that we don't lose any data during the monsoons. The automatic rain gauge works on the principle of tipping bucket and the data goes to the data logger. In case of manual rain gauge, one person has to be appointed who has to collect the data every day. This entire weather station gets the power from the solar panel that is installed over here.
Usually, groundwater that gets recharged and discharged regularly is of good quality. Sometimes, aquifers take years to recharge and stock up water that has infiltrated the ground many years ago. This means that groundwater has a prolonged contact with the rock material through which it flows, allowing it to undergo certain chemical changes. Mineralization of water takes place. Sometimes, over-mineralization also causes groundwater quality to deteriorate.
Poor quality groundwater causes deposition of salts of calcium and sodium over the surface after every irrigation.
When groundwater has too many salts, for example, either due to mineralization within the aquifer or due to external influences like the ingress of seawater, it turns saline. Hydrogeology therefore involves a study of the chemistry of groundwater, how it changes laterally and with depth, as well as whether there are significant changes in the quality from season to season. Groundwater is a replenishable resource. This means that recharge and discharge take place as a consequence of factors like rainfall and pumping. Changes in these factors may result in an imbalance within the aquifer. Hence, it becomes important to consciously manage aquifers. This is especially true in drought-prone regions, where science and technology can help communities decide on how to manage their aquifers.
The percolation tank behind me is used to impound water that comes through the catchment area, store it, and facilitate infiltration to the aquifers below. Beyond the percolation tank is a community well which supplies water to a set of about 10 to 15 farmers which form the Pani Panchayat. This whole concept of Pani Panchayat follows the principles of integrated watershed management, equitable distribution, and in a sense gives some idea about groundwater management in any area.
A multifaceted participatory approach towards groundwater management usually involves augmentation measures for artificial recharge and understanding the aquifers in an area and how they behave in response to climatic and human factors. However, the greatest effort in groundwater management usually involves decisions on how to use wells, bore wells and springs so that the aquifers in question remain protected in terms of quantity and quality of water for all uses over a long period of time.